I'm Myke Shrews,
And I'm Tivis,
and you're listening to
the Munster Cast.
episode 38. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Munster Cast, the podcast where we watch and talk about the Munsters. I am Myke Shrews here with my co-host Tivis. Tivis, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing perfectly fine.
Awesome. I'm doing all right myself. Had a week. So before we get started with anything else, let's get the dirty work out of the way. You can find the Munster Cast on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Not TikTok.
Not TikTok yet. All at the Munster Cast. And then you can also email the Munster Cast at themunstercast@outlook.com. There you can email us anything you want, your questions about the podcast, recommendations for us, your personal stories about your love and fandom of the Munsters as well. And just let us know if we can discuss it on the podcast. We will. If you don't let us know, we will email you and ask if it is okay to do it on the show. So, yeah. Anything else? Oh, yes. We are also on YouTube at the Munster Cast YouTube channel. All the links are in the description below, or wherever the heck you're listening to us at is in the description. So let's move forward now. Is there anything going on?
Well, we got a new casting info for Zombo, which is a character we're not familiar with yet. So I look forward to learning who he is.
Yeah, we haven't seen him yet. So yeah.
As far as I know, it's going to be the same actor as well, which leads me to continue thinking this might be later in life and that maybe Eddie and Marilyn are going to be played by the same actors.
Do you think it's going to be a sequel to the original series?
Maybe.
Possibly.
I don't know. We don't know who. Oh my God, I'm blanking on her name. Marilyn's actress. Pat.
Oh, Pat Priest?
Yes, who Pat Priest is playing. They never said, and still no word on Butch Patrick at all.
Yeah.
Or the two characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you doing this to me, Rob? I am in full support now. Stop messing with me and just tell me.
It's for all the shit you were talking before.
Yeah, I deserve it.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see where this takes place, or if it's just literally like a brand new version. I know you said when you spoke to Jeff that he said it was like a new, well, at least the way he interpreted the character was a new interpretation. So that leads me to believe that it could possibly just be like a literal like reboot of a thing, I guess, or reimagining of the franchise.
Which is not unheard of. I mean, what, 2 or 3 of the films are entirely new cast. So
yeah. So I don't know what to even think about it. I'm waiting for a trailer. We'll see when we see
it's this is gonna be like the Simpsons movie for Munsters, pretty much.
It's
what it seems cameo. Like. Yeah.
Every cameo character, anyways, because a lot of the actors have unfortunately passed. Yeah. So, I'm just excited to see some type of footage from this besides like CCS stuff. You know,
Comic-Con is next month. I'm hoping we get something for it.
Right? We need something.
Shall we jump into this movie though? Because I got a lot to say.
Yeah, sure. Let's dive on into it.
All right. So, will Success Spoil Herman Munster? Season 2, episode 12. Overall, this is the 50th episode of the show. This aired December 2nd, 1965. Teleplay was made by Lou Shaw, Joe Connolly, and Bob Mosier. The story was by Lou Shaw, directed by Ezra Stone. Guests this week. Now, I'm going to have a lot to say at this part. That's why I want to jump straight into it. We got Frank Evans as Bill, who played 3 more roles after this and then retired from acting.
Okay.
We got Nolan Larry as the judge. Here's the big one. Gary Owens as Dick Willett. Now, Gary will return in a future episode, but he played a newscaster on 8 episodes of The Green Hornet, voiced and narrated Space Ghost in the 1966 show, and the 81 show Space Stars, returned for Space Ghost in Batman the Brave and the Bold, voiced Blue Falcon in Dino Mutt Dog Wonder, as well as Scooby's Laugh Olympics and Dexter's Laboratory and Johnny Bravo. Narrated Yogi's Space Race, Legends of the Superheroes, Captain Caveman, and the Teen Angels, Yogi's Treasure Hunt, 2 episodes of Dinosaurs, Superhuman Samurai, Cyber Squad, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, That 70s Show, and Buzz Lightyear Star Command. So there's even more than that. This guy is full of crap from my childhood. And so it's really awesome to see him in this. With all of these, I highly recommend going to check out, because I only point out some of the highlights that jump out to me. There might be other things with any of these actors that you'd be like, oh, wow, he was in that. So, yeah. Anytime you hear this, just go check them out. And of course, we got Bob Hastings returning uncredited as the Raven this episode.
Always uncredited, man.
I know. They never give him anything.
They were like, oh, nah, you're good. You're fine. Okay. Is that it for?
Yep.
All right.
That's all the guests.
So episode 12 of season 2, Will Success Spoil Herman Munster, aired December 9th, 1965, as Tivis previously stated. Eddie borrows a tape recorder belonging to the disc jockey father of one of his friends. Herman records a song that the disc jockey plays on his radio show the next day, and it becomes an instant hit. Dun, dun, dun.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
Right to the point.
All right, so let's get into this.
Yep.
We open on Grandpa messing with the machine in the basement. Okay. I got confused for a second because the second episode does that as well.
Yeah, that was one of my notes. I was like, they're both the same intro almost.
I thought I scrolled too far down in my notes. So this one turns out to control the weather as it begins storming outside.
Yeah.
And he's laughing, like maniacally doing this. He's like, he declares himself a mad genius. And today, Mockingbird Heights, tomorrow, the world, before thrusting his finger in the air and igniting it.
Finally, he proclaims himself a mad scientist in this one.
Yeah. I don't understand where this is going to go because it doesn't come back.
Well, I think it's just because like he's getting the weather to change on Mockingbird Heights, so eventually he'll get a weather machine that works for the entire world.
Yeah, it's just an interesting scene of Al Lewis having fun in the role.
Yeah.
So Herman comes home and it's like night out. Lily comes out with a candle asking how his walk was. He says it was terrible until he hit the storm, but lightning hit his lunchbox and he shows like this hole blown through. Yeah. She tells him that Eddie has a new tape recorder and he's in the living room recording Kitty, which, by the way, we learn starts with a K. I don't know why I thought it like cat.
That would be city.
I know.
That would be city.
I know. I'm an idiot. I just
city as in like kitten.
Just glad no one can see my notes. Which is funny because I have an aunt that goes by that nickname. So yeah, I know.
Kit Kat. Yeah. Just
look, everyone, I have been on a very much Big lack of sleep the past 3 months. Give me a break. Herman says it's time to, Herman goes in there and tells him, hey, it's time for bed. And Eddie's like, no. I want to record you before I return this to my friend tomorrow because his dad doesn't realize he left it here.
Mm.
And Herman's like, no, I'd be embarrassed. You need to get to bed, though.
He was like, talk into it so you can hear what you sound like when you yell at us, Dad. I was like, wait, when does Herman yell at you guys? Everyone's always yelling at Herman. Like, what?
Oh, yeah. I'm just like, what, are you afraid to talk into stuff now after the Martians incident?
Right.
So Eddie finally agrees to go to sleep. And then Herman begins recording himself laughing. Then he plays the tape back and scares himself with his own laugh and calls Lily for help.
But he looks so like happy though as he's recording until he plays it back and he's like, oh, what the hell?
He then records himself making elephant noises and beating his chest. And Kitty runs away while the Raven makes fun of him
and flies away.
Yeah. So Lily's like, Herman, would you get to bed? Because Grandpa turned the storm off and she gets nervous when it's all quiet.
Yeah.
So, and she's like standing at the top of the stairs and she's talking to herself. She's like, what is keeping him? And the armor behind her responds by shrugging. That's the first time we've seen that. Maybe the Invisible Man's inside.
Maybe.
So Herman is playing a guitar into the recorder. The Raven and Spot seem to enjoy his singing, and I thought it was pretty well as well. Kitty comes back, and the song is like about how he was created, but it's to the tune of Dem Dry Bones.
Mm.
And so he's like, yeah. So it's an interesting one about how he was put together piece by piece.
Yeah,
little insight into his past.
He basically talks about him being created by Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah,
and all that.
I scrolled down and lost where I was in my notes. Sorry. Oh God, today's going so well. Eddie slides down this is the morning now, and he slides down that pole that we've seen like once before, and it's getting ready to head to school. Grandpa tells him to be a jerk. That's Grandpa. And Grandpa was also shocked that the recorder was left behind. And Lily says the kids were playing with it, and whoever turns it on is going to hear some childish noises while Herman's like, So we go to a recording booth. What's up?
Oh, no, I'm just trying to figure something out on my end.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
I thought I screwed something up. And they're playing the record. Notice it doesn't have any of the other noises that he was making while recording this on it.
It was just like recorded over top of that too, because it's a limited amount of tape.
Well, even when he was singing, he was making noise, like tapping his feet and stuff.
Yeah.
So his kid erased everything but that song. They make note of that. And they're like, hey, why don't we play this on the radio? We got nothing better to do. So at dinner, Lily serves them a live chicken, and she's quite upset by this because it's not done yet. You think he would know by the clucking, but Grandpa says he's into it and gets ready to dig in before she takes it away and gives it to Marilyn to go cook it longer. Eddie comes in with a radio, and this really upsets Herman. They play nothing but rotten stuff. And then his song starts. Everyone's making faces at it. Lily says it's almost as bad as Herman in the shower. Herman is so embarrassed.
He's just like, he doesn't know what to say. He's just like looking around confused and like listening to everyone's critique of shitting on him the entire time.
Yeah, Grandpa's like, it sounds like a werewolf with laryngitis. And Lenny says, or Eddie, what, Lenny? Who the hell's Lenny? Eddie says it's so awful, even he doesn't want to hear it. And Lily calls it the worst thing ever. And Herman has to pretend to hate it too. He's like, what'd you call it, Grandpa? A werewolf with laryngitis. Yes, that. So at the radio station, they have they come in with a giant sack of fan mail, all wanting to hear Herman's song again.
Mm-hmm.
And some old lady calls his voice sexy. They decide to sign the mystery voice and put out a call over the radio. If this is you and you can prove it, we're going to give you a deal. And so they're back at the Munster Manor. You know, Lily's working on that face bust again that we saw a few episodes ago when the criminals came to hold them hostage.
Yeah.
And she's cutting the nose off and smashing the head down on this one too. Are these Herman or are these not?
I'm not sure.
I don't know either.
Herman, or maybe it's Charlie because she's obsessed with Charlie. He's the better one, remember?
Yeah, well, why cut the nose off?
Maybe they wanted to narrow it out. She wanted to narrow it out, so she cut the thicker chunk out.
Maybe.
Narrow.
I wish we could get more. Like, where are they? If they were just around the house complete, that would be great. So the song begins playing over the radio, and Lily and Grandpa still hate it. Herman is shocked that they're playing it again. And then the station mentions the 5-year recording contract with them. Grandpa says, who would want to sign that, bum? And Herman, like, excitedly gets up from the couch. Like, while they're talking, he straightens up, puts down his newspaper, gets a look of like, oh, on his face.
Yeah.
Then starts repeating the number to himself excitedly as he gets up and starts walking towards the phone booth. And he's like, where are you going? And what are you saying? He's like, I'm that no talent bum they're referring to. Yeah. And they're both like, no.
The sequence is pretty cool because you get to see like Herman just changing his facial features, but then you see like Grandpa, they do like a shot of Grandpa right before Herman gets up, and I'm like, oh, Grandpa's gonna call his ass out on it. Mm-hmm. No, they actually make it so Herman is the one who admits it, which was kind of cool. Because the way they shot it, I thought it was like Grandpa figuring it out, like, oh no.
Yeah. And no, they don't believe him either.
No.
But we cut to the whole family standing outside the phone booth as he's talking to the radio people. And they don't believe that it's him either. So he begins singing horribly, I might add. Not at all like he did the first time.
Right. I was like, what is it? I honestly thought he was trying to be bad so that his family wouldn't make fun of him for being that person.
I thought he was nervous, and they're like, no, that doesn't sound like you. And he's going to be like, he's going to have to spend the episode trying to prove it.
Right.
But no, that's not what happens. They believe it immediately. Eddie is excited that his dad is on the radio, and Lily is shocked while Grandpa gets snippy. So what does Herman do? He yanks the... Go ahead.
He steps all the way into the casket and pulls the cord, which usually sucks the casket into the wall. And he's like, and about that 5-year contract, Mr. Whatever the guy's name was.
He's gonna get some privacy away from the judgment of the family. So cut to Herman reading Downbeat magazine as his song plays on the radio again. It says that it's been the number 3 most requested song in the top 40 for 2 consecutive weeks. And as he lowers the magazine, he's got sunglasses on. This is our first hint that this is going to his head, as everything always does with him.
We previously saw this side of Herman come out too when we had the insurance scam going on. and he thought he was going to Hollywood and stuff like that. So
don't forget Eddie's talent show, the children talent show.
Yeah.
He started making it all about him because he was buying for time and the people thought he was a robot.
Yeah.
And Lily's like, this is Eddie's night, you jerk. But they love me. So Herman is signing autographs in the living room as Marilyn comes up to him. He's like, you got to help Grandpa turn his machine off. So this is how the machine comes back.
Up like right now, like
it's
now.
Gonna blow up the lab. He's like, so I'm real busy at the moment, but tell him I'm free next Tuesday. Marilyn is not happy. She's about to argue with him, but at that moment, the trapdoor opens as an explosion happens. Grandpa's hurtling into the rafters of their ceiling. And Herman gets a look on his face there. It's like, will you keep it down? I'm trying to concentrate.
Yeah.
This is the first time there's been any sense of danger or urgency in the house. I love how he just doesn't care. It's like, bad stuff is about to go down. Seriously, help.
Grandpa's already dead, though. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have proved that they can die multiple times.
Yeah, but he's already dead. He'll be fine.
So now we're in the bedroom while Herman is, I think, plucking hair. I can't.
Yeah, I think he's plucking hair or maybe excess stitches or something from his head.
I don't know. He's removing something, and there's one of those cartoony falling sounds and a thud as it hits the ground. So what the hell?
So I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a unibrow he was plucking, or if it was just little pieces of stitching left over from last time he had to get his head sewn back on or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know. But Lily's like, hey, your bedtime was an hour ago. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's 5 a.m. Your bedtime was an hour ago.
I'm making myself presentable for TV tomorrow. She's like, you're going to be on TV? You did not tell me this. Is this a good idea given your lack of experience? I know you're handsome and stuff, but
yeah.
And he's like, if they love hearing me, they're going to love seeing me.
I feel Herman would be a good act in Vegas.
Yeah.
That would be
but he looks at the mirror and breaks it, which is something I have missed. It's been a while.
They had to get new mirrors, Tivis. Come on.
He tells her to go ahead and go to sleep. He's going to go exercise his singing voice. And as he leaves, she begins to ponder what would happen if he does become a big star.
Oh, geez. And these are some weird.
Yeah. Well, she jerks her head to the left and falls back and passes out, wakes up again. She's like, will success spoil him? Then jerks her head to the right and passes out a second time, and then begins a series of dreams.
One where it's basically he's like Elvis almost. A greaser version of Elvis.
It's his leather racing outfit from the drag racing episode with 3 women dancing around him. And she wakes up from that and ponders, well, what if he becomes a star in pictures? It passes out again. And the second
winning an Oscar, basically.
Yeah. he wants to thank the little people, but he can't because he did it all himself.
Yeah.
So she wakes up again and says, but stardom comes with a lot of convenient luxury, and passes out again. And this time, this is the one that does her in. Herman is divorcing her on advice from his lawyer because sometimes they need to change their spot, or a leopard needs to change their spots.
Yeah. I need to change wives as often as I change socks, he says.
She wakes up and she's, you 2-timing son of a bitch.
But they said that he before the sequence, she said that he had no experience in front of a camera.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's not true.
It's not true at all, because he's been in front of, again, the insurance fraud one and several others where he's been in front of the camera.
Yeah.
That
Even though there
experience.
was no camera that episode, they just lied to him.
Yeah. We did skip over the chicken part though.
What, with dinner? I said that. They serve a live chicken and Grandpa's into it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that chicken was the chick from the previous episode we watched that hatched and it just grew up
Maybe.
a few weeks later?
It's possible. From that weird ass eggplant.
Yeah.
The plant growing eggs. Chicken eggs.
All right. My bad.
Yeah, maybe. So the family's like, Grandpa's in the lab and the family like rush in and Lily's like, you need to stop this career before it starts. That dream I had is the last straw that broke the dragon's back. Grandpa's like, Grandpa's like, yeah, he's getting unbearable to live with. And he refused to sign my report card because he doesn't do autographs. Grandpa's like, yeah, I know, kid. He's annoying. Yeah. So he begins flipping through his book and they come across the nothing muffin recipe, which you're guaranteed to ruin anyone's day.
Right.
And Lily's like, oh, shoot, but he's on a diet. He doesn't touch starches. Grandpa's like, oh, we're going to make them and he's going to eat them, even if I have to stuff it down his throat. And yeah, he meant that literally, as we're about to talk about.
Yeah. So before we do that, the whole her like wanting to basically ruin his career because of a dream.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had any experience with this, but I've been punched in the middle of the night because my wife dreamt that I was cheating on her. So
no, I just get told all the horrible stuff I do in her dreams. I've never been punished for them. I'm a real asshole, apparently, in her subconscious.
And there's a reason for that.
Oh. That's sad to think about. I don't like that at all. So getting back to the kitchen where Herman is refusing to eat the muffins that Lily's giving to him. Yeah. She then gives up, taps the tray loudly, and Herman gets like a look on it like, what are you doing? Why don't make that noise? But cut to outside. Grandpa goes,
with a can.
That's the signal. And he stuffs the muffin into the cannon that they've used a couple times now. Yeah. Marilyn opens the window, and as Herman begins to sing again, they fire it directly into his mouth. And he promptly swallows it. His voice sounds like helium. Now,
pretty good. Because this was done in reverse, I can tell you that right now.
Oh yeah, you could. I was gonna say you could see the string.
Yeah, but it was actually done pretty good. If without the string there, I mean, they clearly use a lot of black string in this. I'm surprised they didn't just use like translucent fishing wire. It would have helped hide that a lot more, especially in black and white.
Yeah,
but go on, continue.
Maybe it wasn't as readily available back then. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not a fisherman. I hate fishing. But Herman is extremely unhappy with his voice. He sounds like a chipmunk. He screams for help and then slams his guitar into the wall in rage. Lily says, he's got to cancel the TV appearance. And he's like, no, I can't. And he's doing his tantrum, and it's hilarious. Just this high-pitched voice. It sounds like they gave him a ton of helium. So he stops and he's like, if I do, will you buy me a new guitar? And Lily's like, of course. And he begins laughing in the high-pitched voice and kisses her. And then we move on to the final scene that is possibly my favorite ending in this entire show. Just how Herman behaves. I loved this, dude. I absolutely loved it. So we start. Awesome. Yeah, we start with Herman's hand like crawling across the table towards the plate of muffins, which what kind of muffins these are. And as Marilyn's apologizing, he's just got a look on his face like, yeah, Yeah, he's not happy and offers her a muffin.
Yeah.
Lily, like each one of them, they're like talking about how, he's becoming a real jerk and they just couldn't stand it anymore. It's like Lily goes, then Eddie goes. Each time he offers them the plate of muffins and they just take it without even thinking. He says sarcastically, he goes, well, gee, I don't feel so bad about losing out on a big career and breaking my expensive guitar and everything.
Yeah.
He then goes to take a bite out of a muffin, stops, and says, you know what? I'm quitting the star business. And Grandpa's like, yeah, I like you being a nice guy. And you just see Herman's arm stretch out from behind the camera and offer him a muffin. And Grandpa just takes a giant bite. And I'm like, this is Herman's most evil revenge. And it's going so wonderfully.
It goes so great.
Just the look on his face. He's,
The payoff I wasn't happy about, but I like that he does this so diabolically, like slowly passing it to them each individually, and the look on his face is just like, yep, because he also he was about to eat one himself, and then he stops, and that's the one he offers to Grandpa.
Yeah. He's like, so I'm gonna head to bed before these kick in. And they're like, no, wait, we want to sing you a song. And they start singing, he's a jolly good fellow, but in the high-pitched voice. But the family take it in stride and begin laughing. And Herman begins laughing. And it's a very wholesome ending. But just the whole revenge part of it was the best.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. The whole revenge aspect of it, because I started writing in my note down before it even finished. I was like, oh, I'm glad he gets his revenge.
Yeah.
Because you see it coming very slowly and methodically, and it's like awesome.
So I got
that they had because I couldn't find anything, but do you think that they had the guys who did the Chipmunks album in the 50s do the voicing for the Chipmunk stuff here?
It's possible. Who owns Alvin and the Chipmunks?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
Some rich, wealthy studio.
I don't even know when they debuted. I know Chip and Dale were around back then, but
the Alvin and the Chipmunks had that album, their first album, come out in 1958. I know that.
Okay, so they were around.
Yeah. So, and then they, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
In California.
So I got 4 pieces of trivia here.
Go ahead with it.
The title is a play on Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, a 1957 film. Dem Dry Bones is an African-American spiritual arranged by James Weldon Johnson and J. Rosamond Johnson in the 1920s, based on Ezekiel chapter 37. And that's just straight from IMDb because I couldn't shorten that in my own words. We don't hear any of the, I already mentioned that, the noises on the tape. And Herman, Herman doesn't use the recording device correctly. He presses a white button, but in actual recording, you have to press the play and record button at the same time, which is usually red.
What was that on the machines back in the 60s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was also studio equipment, and you never know. And some pieces of equipment actually had one where you would push the button down. It would push, if you push the record button down, the play button would go down automatically with it. Yeah.
Okay.
So there were devices built like that. I'm not saying that specific one is, because I didn't see a model or anything like that on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you push the record button on some devices, it would push the red or the play button down as well.
Okay.
And they were connected in a way. All right.
As technology improved and made life easier on everyone, and then ruined everyone's life.
The internet.
Yeah. I enjoyed this one.
Their brother does a podcast, so.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought, once again, it's Herman being Herman at his best, just pig-headed, and the rest of the family does a great job. Marilyn especially doesn't get a whole lot to do this episode, and Eddie gets a little bit, but Yvonne and Al Lewis, like their acting in this is just phenomenal.
Yeah. It's a nice one where it's like you got almost everybody in the family except for Igor here too.
Yeah, and we don't see him. We haven't seen him in quite a few episodes.
We saw him a couple episodes back.
What the cops or whatever, or
I don't recall. It was like 4 episodes ago.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. They're starting to bleed together.
Yeah, once you start watching so much, they all bleed together. So yeah, we got to see a lot of some of the Spot. We got the Raven, we got Kitty. So Charlie the Raven.
Yeah.
So it's nice to get to see more of the whole family all in one episode, especially because they actually did a decent amount of extras in this episode. Well, not extras, but like, they had the recording studio people doing some scenes too. So we got extra characters added in there. I'm surprised we did not have another kid. Because they kept talking about the other's child. We never got to see it. So they probably were just like, we don't need that shit, which you didn't need that for this episode. So that's cool. All right.
Yeah. Also, they were probably just trying to save time because this episode we're about to talk about has a giant guest list.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail with many of them. Again, if you want to go look it up yourselves, a lot of them have very interesting careers, and I would recommend doing that because, you never know. You might find something that'll be like, oh, that sounds interesting. So let's get into the second episode here. Underground Munster, Season 2, Episode 13, aired December 16th, 1965. Written by Joe Connolly, Bob Mosier, and Norm Liebman, The Standard. Directed by Don Richardson again. We haven't seen him in a while, but he's back. Guess this episode. Warren Parker as Ted. John Mitchum as the first worker. Buck Cartolene. Yeah, as the second workman, which they played Frank in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Jimmy Joyce as the first reporter. Hoke Hohen as the second reporter. Okay. Bob Harvey as the photographer. Did I say something wrong?
You said Hoke Hohen. It's Hoke Howell.
Howell? Oh, okay.
Howell.
Bob Harvey will return in a future episode, by the way. We got Helen Klebe. Did I get that one right?
Yep. Sure.
All right. As the first woman. And she will return as well. And she had a major role as Mammy Baldwin in The Waltons and also the TV movies that followed. Okay. For anyone who recognizes her. Ezzie Baker? Did I type that wrong?
Elsie Baker.
Okay, I missed an L.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is not a name. Elsie Baker is the second woman who played Grandma Farber in Locale Monster, if you remember way back then to the Thanksgiving Halloween episode. J. Edward McKinley as Mayor Handley, who played Mr. Murdoch in Country Club Munsters.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Dick Cherney, who is uncredited as a reporter, has 2 minor roles in Star Trek that I didn't specify to save time. And finally, Murray Pollock, who is uncredited as a police officer, who has way too many uncredited appearances on his list of roles. That poor person. Like,
he probably was like one of those guys who just knew somebody at the studio and was like, "Hey, can I just show up and be on set?"
Oh, it's unbelievable. I was looking at his list. I'm like, why are like, oh, wow.
Oh yeah, it looks like he's just an extra on all this shit, an uncredited extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually they won't, because he didn't have like a speaking role. It looks like for most of these. I'm looking through his thing real quick here, and from what it says, it's basically like shopping center per patron, doctor, coroner, and these are all from one show, by the way. He plays like 5 different characters in one show, all uncredited. What the hell? Oh, geez. Yeah, he plays multiple characters in shows, all uncredited. Interesting. Yeah, he doesn't have any credits, like actual named credits, does he?
He's got a few, but
I don't see any. Everything I'm looking at, uncredited. Holy moly. This is somebody we should look into for our other podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for you?
Oh, let's get into the synopsis.
All right.
Repeat that date.
Underground Munster, December 16th. Yeah, 16th, 1965, as Tivis previously stated. Spot runs away and is mistaken for a dangerous monster when he is sighted in the sewer. When Herman goes down the manhole to search for him, he too is mistaken for a dangerous monster, who also, they say, is the mate to Spot. That's not in the synopsis, but I'm just going to point that out.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So I wanted also, like I said, because it was one of my first notes for this episode, both episodes we did today start out with Grandpa doing something on that dumb electrical wall.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what the hell? And this
one's going to be a little tricky to talk about. We will refrain from some comments. So you'll see why in a second if you didn't watch the episode. Yeah. So we open up with a Frankenstein intro again. We haven't had one of these in a long time. It's Herman groaning in the lab while sitting on a bench. So
frustrated.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Wait, what? What'd you say?
Nothing. Just go on.
Why do you do this to us?
I just said so frustrated. That's all I said.
Well, Grandpa is like shown laughing hysterically, messing with the wall. Herman says they will destroy them. He breaks the table out of excitement. Grandpa says they will spare no one. Herman adds that they all have to go. The mayor, the city council, and even the dog catcher. Grandpa says his machine can do it. His magic voting machine. He says they will cast a vote and it will appear in every voting machine. They will control elections.
So now they're the voter fraud. The Munsters are committing voter fraud. This is the first time they've actually, potentially anyways, set up to do a real crime.
Yeah.
That they've shown in this show. Like that I can remember. I don't remember them setting up another actual crime for them to commit. They've been accused of things just because of the way they look.
Yeah, this kind of flies in the face of a lot of Herman's, honorable stuff. But maybe
we all know those things for even normal people are just when they say them. They don't actually take it to life.
With all politicians, we have our breaking point, I guess. But at this point, Lily calls upstairs. She calls them upstairs because Spot made a mess in the living room. And we get this neat little shot of Herman and Grandpa we're in the living room and we got Herman sticking out of the trapdoor with Grandpa behind him, which is hilarious because Grandpa should be further down. So he must be floating to get a look compared to
which tracks for his character. So
and Spot left muddy footprints all over the floor, the couch, the table, and in the hall. Its tail, which is wagging through what looks like wetness, and I'm like, oh, Spot peed in the house. But No, he was playing in quicksand, and now they have mud everywhere.
You mean they have cloth footprints everywhere?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they just make it out of like actual dirt, man? Like, it just seems like even more work to get the fabric and to cut each individual footprint out than to just like have like a stamp and stamp like mud in spots. Because you have his foot. They've shown his foot before.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. But, Grandpa says in the old country, we never let pets into the house. They had to stay in their caves where they belonged.
Yeah.
And
just like
Herman
a father-in-law.
Yeah.
Back in my day. Yeah. Well, back in your day.
Herman, well, actually, next week, we're going to learn a bit more about how they came to the
watching ahead of me. You're watching ahead of me, aren't you? Are you just reading?
I just did the notes while I was waiting for you this morning. So Herman decides it's time to discipline him, and Marilyn is worried that he'll run away again. And Herman walks up to him with a newspaper, says naughty like 20 times, and then lightly taps him on the butt. Spot bolts through the front door, busting out and into the road. And Grandpa congratulates Herman on breaking a little boy's heart. Lily tells him that sometimes he acts like a real monster.
And they all like flip on Herman like instantly.
Are you kidding? So they leave him on the porch as some of the ceiling falls on his head.
So they have like a lamp in their front porch there, and it drops on his head. They actually apparently look like they used a stunt double, because that was not Herman's face that got hit by the actual lantern.
Oh, really?
When you shop it, they stay on his face for a good few seconds, and I'm like, that's not Fred in that suit. It looks like a completely different, like Herman, like a Frankenstein's monster mask and everything. It actually looks scary.
I'll have to go back and look at that again.
Yeah,
that's cool. Interesting.
Yeah, actually see, but I'm like, dude, like, how are they always getting mad at Herman for doing what they tell him to do?
Because he can't win.
I feel you, Herman. I feel you. It's a son-in-law thing, I think.
Yeah, when you live with your in-laws,
you can't win. You're always the bad guy. You're always the outcast, because he lives with everyone that's not his like natural like clan,
other than his son and wife.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. Before we moved into this house, I was with my in-laws for nearly 9 years. I lived with them.
Yeah. I have my in-laws. We moved them down here to live in the mother-in-law suite that we have on our house. So I feel
brag some more.
Maybe they should be in the dungeon. No.
Oh, Florida man.
I'm just joking. We don't even have basements in Florida. At least here. Anyways.
So in the morning, Lily's making breakfast, telling Eddie that Spot will come back.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie begins chewing on the nail that's in this block of wood. And the only reason he's doing that is so that she can tell him to stop chewing his nails.
Yeah.
And Grandpa says, "You're not even eating the best part," and takes the nail and bites into it. So that made up for the really bad joke there. It's not often that they make a joke in this show where I'm like, oh no, why? Like the throw a wrench in the works with the robot from way back in season 1. I was like, this whole episode is just for this joke. But so Eddie is like really upset, and he's like, "Look, your dad is outside. He's been out looking for him all day." And at that point, Herman comes back looking real dejected. Eddie is even sadder now. Grandpa tells him to he's like, "Don't worry, I put an ad in the newspaper.
Mm.
And apparently he's like listing off the description of Spot, and apparently he's got a battle axe scar in his left shoulder. I wonder if we'll see that in the movie.
Maybe.
Marilyn comes in and tells them to look at the paper. And so instead of Grandpa's ad, there's been monster sightings in the sewer, and the mayor claiming it's a hoax to ruin his re-election campaign. And they show a photo of a tail. They also liken him to the Loch Ness Monster, which Spot looks nothing like Nessie. Let's get that straight.
No. Nessie has more of like a webbed foot.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
Do not confuse cryptics.
The what?
Do not confuse cryptics. That's a bad thing to do. Don't do that.
Let's do it.
But yeah, Herman's like, look, Marilyn, I don't have time to do this. Will you go to City Hall and explain to them that it's our pet? And he's like, make sure to take the leash as well. And look, our administration is extremely unhelpful. You will probably get tied up in red tape. So I'm wondering if this is frustrations with the LA.
Oh, most likely.
Yeah, at the time.
Oh, most likely. And not even just LA. It was probably just in general, whatever was going on in the administration in the 60s.
Yeah, well, that's a timeless complaint. Let's just put it that way. I don't think anyone's ever had anyone they're happy with because they all suck. But down at City Hall, the mayor is being told he is a young lady who wants to see him. And he's all excited. He's like, oh, the dancing girl is here, and he hopes that she wore her bikini. What the fuck, Mayor? Ah. So the other guy is like, no. This guy is his PR person, by the way. We don't find that out till later. He's like, no, she's here claiming the sewer monster is her family pet. He's like, oh yeah, I knew it was a plant story to make me look bad. You know, obviously, like, some lizard got loose and she's just there to get it back. But she comes in with 2 reporters and a photographer.
Oh.
What's up?
So I'm sorry to do this. So apparently in 1965, March 7th of 1965, there was like the Civil Rights Acts and all that stuff from the 57, 60, and 64. Mm-hmm. None of the laws were strong enough to prevent discrimination by local offices as of March 65. So protesting and all that stuff started going on around that time for it, which wouldn't have been too far before this episode was probably shot. Mm-hmm. So that could, maybe they're touching a little bit on that there. Yeah. Makes a little bit.
Maybe. I mean, a lot of shows like to do that.
Yeah. And they didn't like directly attack that specific topic, but as a whole administration. Because if you pay attention in this episode, they never once tell you what administration. They just keep using the administration. Like, that's all they say. They're very clear as to skim the entire topic while still making reference to how crappy everything is.
Yeah. Oh, anyone out there who wants some real fun, attend their next city hall meeting. Oh boy, you really get to learn what neighbors you want to hate.
Patton Oswalt is up there describing the next what was it? Was it Star Wars? Right?
What are you talking about when he described what happened in Mandalorian?
Yeah, was it? Oh, it was Mando, wasn't it?
Yeah, years before they did it. No, the Book of Boba Fett.
Book of Boba Fett before they did it.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about my experience with the city hall I used to go to with my dad all the time because he's an active member of his small village because they're not even qualified to be a town.
I don't think I'm going to HOA meetings, so.
Oh, it's
Oh my God. I've never been more frustrated as a 7-year-old.
Anyways, sorry about that, guys. I just thought I'd toss that in there as maybe what this was referencing for potentially for that time frame.
No, it's always good. They always reference current events in these type of shows. So it's good to get that type of historic knowledge,
Especially in the 60s, I feel they touched a lot more on like the social stuff going on in the world at that time than we did necessarily in the 90s. You know what I mean? And then we're starting to do it again because there's a lot more stuff going on again now. Well, not again, but people are finally like, hey, let's talk about this some more. So they're starting to do it again now, which is why everybody probably is just like, why is it so like this? I'm like, because it is, man. It's just trace history of TV. You'll see it's not new. It's nothing new.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're past the part.
She comes in with the 3 reporters.
Well, no. Before that, so they finally did mention in this episode, Marilyn is still in school. And I was glad that we got mention of that.
Oh, still in college? Yeah.
Yeah, still in college, yes. So I was glad we had to mention that because we haven't had a mention of her being in school in since last season. At least sometime. And then before she even walks in, the mayor's such a douchebag. It's like he's like, well, I hope she's in a bathing suit.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Such a shifty
slime ball.
Such a dirty old man.
So so she comes in with the 3 reporter or the 2 reporters and the photographer or whatever. They're people there to heckle the mayor. She's like, look, I'm here to talk to you about getting my family pet back. And he's not pleased to see the reporters behind her.
Oh no, Harvey Weinstein never would be pleased for that. I mean, this mayor would never be pleased for that.
We are skirting the line. I'm not upset, but some people might be.
Harvey Weinstein is the reason that some of Rob Zombie's best work was not put out when he did the Halloween movies. So fuck him. Also, all the other bad
Halloween movies are what made me not happy he's doing this movie.
Exactly. It's because they were butchered by Weinstein, dude.
We keep getting off topic.
Hey, Rob Zombie's making the new Munsters. Come on, it's on topic.
I know. I don't want to get too many people upset.
If you're upset about me saying Harvey Weinstein, then that's not.
Well, no, not him specifically. That is POS.
Okay. All right. So she comes in with the 3 reporters.
Yeah, I keep losing my spot, my damn notes. He's not pleased to see the reporters. She then grabs her giant briefcase and puts it on his desk. He has to grab his trophy to yank it out of the way. And I don't know if that was planned or not, but that was really good. She pulls out Spot's collar from it, and he's like, that's for your family pet? And she's like, yeah, my uncle doesn't want me violating leash laws. The reporters all smirk at this comment, and the mayor says, look, I got no time for this ridiculousness. Just get out of here. All of you leave.
Yeah. I'm curious why the reporters were even following her. Or were they just in the office already?
No, they pointed her to the mayor's office, and I think used that as an excuse to get in there to try and get dirt on him. Because, his whole thing is they're trying to ruin me.
Right.
So we cut back to home, and this scene, I hated it. Eddie can't sleep because he's so worried. And Lily's like, look, Herman and Grandpa are out there looking for him at this very moment. You don't want to see Wolf cry. You don't want Wolf to see you cry, do you? Like, what do you think he's doing? We get this terrifying shot of the doll's face with water pouring down it. And it's like stop motion moving around. I'm like, good God, this thing's alive. That's the most nightmare inducing thing I've ever seen on this show. I hate it.
It's Rob the doll.
Oh. So now we get Herman and Grandpa sneaking over to a manhole cover at night. Grandpa tells him to get down there, but Herman's like, I haven't been in the sewers for 100 years. He then makes his way down and pulls the cover back on top. He hands his lantern to Grandpa, I should say, then climbs down and puts the cover back on. And Grandpa's like, what do you, slams his foot down on the cover. And Herman opens back up. He's like, what? He's like, you forgot your lantern, you dumb. So he hands it to him. Herman goes back down and Grandpa yells at him, do not come home until you find Spot. Herman follows these instructions to a T.
Yeah.
Because as we will learn, it will be days before Herman sees the light of day again.
He does not come back out ever. Like,
so, yeah. Well, he kind of comes back out at one point. He's wandering around the sewers, and once again, he's enjoying the acoustics of being in an enclosed space. And he gets a little too excited. And some of the ceiling falls down on him, causing him to yell darn. And the echo finishes the rest of the line. And I love that. That was a great use of the echo.
Yeah.
Back at home, Lily is wandering down the hall as Marilyn comes out of her room, wondering how the search is going. And Lily's like, look, I'm about to go ask Grandpa. He's having breakfast in bed. So we get a shot of Grandpa's room, which is really cool, I might add, because we've only ever seen him hanging upside down all over the house. He's got this really like neat stone slab bed in the shape of like a coffin. And we get this cool effect. He's like got a tray with smoke billowing out of it. And he's like, take it away. And it flies off into the ceiling. It's a neat effect. I really enjoyed that. But Lily enters and he's like, hey, what's new? Herman's missing. And he like blows her off and goes, opens the window and gets like the wind blowing at her. Nothing like a fresh breeze. And she's like, look, Herman's gone still. And he's like, look, relax. If a family member can't manage underground, we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
So back to the sewer. Herman finds some street signs and then bangs his head on the ceiling because he's having to crouch to get through the. I feel so bad for Fred in this scene because we know that costume is uncomfortable as it is, and now he's going to be bent over in it.
Yeah.
It's no wonder that this scene is so short. But now we get 3 city workers all having lunch together, telling stories of the creature. And one of them's like, look, I've been doing this job for 14 years. I've never seen anything that has frightened me. Buckle up, dude. Herman walks up.
As soon as you said that, you're like, oh, yeah.
And one by one, they all turn to look at him. And Herman's just, they take off running. Not only do they take off running, they climb up the ladder. One dude just bolts down the road. The other one takes the safety railing to stop people from falling down the hole. And the third continues to climb up the nearby theater ladder where a man is changing the signs of what's it playing. And Herman's like, look, just because I didn't shave today doesn't mean you can be rude.
Yeah. And he's like scratching his face and you hear this grinding noise.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I know that feeling. So now we got the 3 men in the mayor's office. They're like, you have no idea what's down there.
Yeah.
There is something terrifying. 2 of the reporters are present during this and they turn to look.
These reporters are everywhere, man. Like,
yeah. Did they not leave?
Guys. Like,
they turn to look at the mayor. He's like, what do you plan to do? And the mayor's like, and the PR guy hands him a script to read.
Yeah.
And we are going to plant dynamite and blow up the sewer. Because of course they are.
Yeah. Blasting dynamite in the sewer. Not good.
No, for multiple reasons.
For so many reasons. Health reasons.
Street reasons.
Structural reasons. Gas reasons, because this was, gas lines are everywhere. So, clearly nobody ever watched Ghostbusters. I mean, granted, Ghostbusters was 20 years later, but still.
I think this is more of a statement on how ridiculous they find them trying to solve problems.
Their stupidity.
Yes. So now we get two ladies reading the newspaper, reading the paper at the bus stop, talking about how Herman is wandering around down there now, and then Herman pops. They're like, I think this is just to deflect from the mayor. He's got some real shady stuff going on, and at that moment, Herman pops out of the nearby sewers. Excuse me, I'm lost. Could you give me some directions to Mockingbird Heights? They freak out and run away. No, they not only run away, they jump onto a passing dump truck and climb into the back of it.
Yeah.
So Herman's got no choice but to descend back into the sewer and continue wandering. Lily opens up the phone booth as Grandpa reads the newest sighting. And they've apparently upgraded their phone booth, by the way, since the last episode, as a cool arm attachment pops out, so they don't have to enter the booth to get to the phone anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Innovation. I wonder how long that's going to be there.
Not long.
Yeah.
I'm assuming not long.
As Grandpa's reading it, they realize that they plan to use dynamite on Herman, and Lily is really not happy about this because they might hurt him. So they're not even sure that he's going to survive dynamite.
Because I think, haven't we seen him with dynamite before?
Yeah, but we haven't seen him with a ton of dynamite before,
I guess.
So she calls City Hall and the PR guy answers. He's like, look, the mayor's out. He's getting ready to personally set off charges for publicity. And Lily's like, as Lily tells Grandpa this, they rush off to go help in some way. Mm. And I love how they end up helping. Like, poor Grandpa. So we get a shot of downtown. They're evacuating the area because they're stupid enough to blow up their streets, destroying their town. The mayor begins giving a speech.
So
yeah. Two places in this country are just have always been so dumb. You live in one of them and the other one's on the other coast. Yeah, the mayor is giving a speech as Herman's like, hey, there's some light up ahead. And Lily and Grandpa are like speeding down the road in the coach, almost crashing several times as they zip around the cars. Mm. The mayor's like, hey, I'm about to light this. Take a photo.
Well,
Herman finds...
Before they even start zipping around, did you know this? Because we've seen that the Munsters have a garage. Instead of going through the house to get to the garage, they go
out the front. I guess because they were right there.
And they just went around to the garage area. Oh, I was just like,
I thought that was a bit weird.
But I was like, wait, why didn't they just go through the garage?
Yeah, because I'm like, at first I thought they were just gonna run downtown, and then they get in the car and drive. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes way more sense.
We haven't really established how big this area is.
Yeah, it's listed as a suburbs, so it could be like Toledo. The suburbs go on for a long time around the city itself.
Yeah.
But Herman finds a ladder. Is a way out, even though he was at a manhole just not that long ago. Grandpa and Lily almost get into a head-on collision before they turn and bust through a brick wall. And the driver of the other car passes out, surely going to kill someone.
Oh, not even. Oh no! Before that, so they had a red light, and Grandpa did this thing where he turned legally and then went back up and around and then went out the way he wanted to go instead of waiting at the red lights. And I've seen people do this before too, and it's crazy.
Yeah. That's that can't add any more to that. Just So they bust through this brick wall and begin screaming at the mayor to stop, but it's too late. The mayor drops it. Herman sees the stick of dynamite and he's like, what kind of person litters in the sewers? Throws it back out as Grandpa's running up to the guy and explodes on all of them, Herman, the mayor, and Grandpa.
Yeah.
After the explosion, the mayor just turns to Grandpa. What did you want? And Grandpa's like, forget it. Just forget it.
And they even go down to see if Herman's down there either. Just through it. Because apparently we find out in the next scene how Herman gets home. So it was like no one even found Herman or went to look for him or anything after the dynamite exploded.
No, and he clearly was caught up in the blast because he's got marks and everything.
Yeah. I'm like, you guys are worried about Herman always falling apart just from scaring him. Like, why are we not worried about him like being in pieces in the sewer?
Yeah. But he's like, hey, so I found Spot and we took a cab home.
And then we let it go when we got home.
Yeah. And he's like, Spot wants to go out. And Lily's like, get the leash and don't let him go again.
I would love to see a show of Eddie and Spot by themselves. It'd be like Clifford the Big Red Dog, but with a dragon. I guess it'd be Pete's dragon, basically, but still.
Yeah.
But with Eddie. So
I'm real curious how they're going to handle Spot in this movie because we have the technology now, but do we want to see him in full?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I go back and forth all the time.
Animatronic it under the steps still.
Yeah. That's a must. You got to do that shot.
I'm wondering what's cheaper nowadays, though. Is the animatronic actually cheaper than the CG because the CG people know that they're so wanted, so they're the prices go up?
I mean, they're wanted, but they're still underpaid.
Yeah,
it's a real industry problem.
Yeah, that's true.
So Lily's like, I'm just happy we're all back together again. And Herman is happy to be a normal citizen and vote tomorrow. And then he's like, hey, Grandpa, will your machine be ready?
Yeah,
absolutely.
After all of this, he's still like, oh, voter fraud.
And I thought the episode was going to end there, but no. The mayor pulls up to the Munster Manor with his PR person, a police officer, and what I'm guessing is the uncredited reporter guy.
I thought there were two police officers.
I thought so too, but only one police officer was listed on the IMDb page.
Okay, because they were both in uniform. So
yeah, I could have swore that too. Maybe someone screwed up on there. So they knock on the door,
and they're like, well, we have to. These people called in this and this and this. Yeah. They're the ones who are trying to sabotage my.
Yeah, they're trying to ruin me. I need them on my side. So Marilyn answers and like, oh, Miss Munster. It is, Mrs. Mr. Munster home. Oh yeah, there's
the family here. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just in the living room. And why don't you come in and say hi? So they go in. We don't even get to see them meeting the family. We just see them busting down the door. The mayor hobbling his cast behind the others as the three guys jump in the car, drive away, leaving the mayor. But the mayor speeds up to match the speed of the car.
Yeah.
Even though he's got a cast on his leg.
Well, you notice when they're about to go to the turn, the car actually does slow down because they probably didn't want to hit the actor running with them. or the stunt man or whatever. Yeah. It was funny. Like
I like Herman's reaction.
I honestly thought this was going to end up being them finding the voting fraud machine and like actually Grandpa and Herman having to,
explain
their shit and feel bad for it or something. I don't know. But I mean, I'd rather Weinstein be scared. I mean, the mayor be scared and run down the road hurting himself more.
Yeah, Herman just comes out. He's like, I always knew the mayor was a shifty character. Couldn't even look me in the eye. And I thought, again, the episode's going to end there. But nope. One last scene in the lab. They're just making final adjustments to their the magic voting machine that uses radar.
So this movie is like the Snyder cut. It just ends like 5 times before it finally ends.
They're going to throw all the crooks out of office. The magic radar machine will make sure the person they want wins.
Yeah.
Herman enters the machine, picks a person at random. I didn't see the name, but I'm willing to bet it's the same mayor.
Probably. You never know with Herman.
Yeah, I really want to go back and look at this, but I'm almost positive because they zoom in on the name that it's the same freaking person.
Right.
And this Grandpa's like, all you got to do now is pull that lever there and it'll be set in stone. Every voting machine in the country will say this person's name. It won't be a landslide. It'll be an avalanche.
Yeah.
So Herman pulls the lever. Some curtains go around him like, oh, like voting privacy machines. Yeah. Didn't notice the shower head above him until it starts pouring out water.
Well, it wasn't a shower head at first. It was a light and then water comes out of it.
Oh, that's why I didn't notice it. Herman pokes his head out. He's, don't just stand there. Hand me the soap. He's been in the sewer for days at this point. He needs a shower.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now the episode ends.
Right there. So I don't understand what the machine was that Grandpa tried to create then.
He just made a shower.
Well, he just made a shower. Okay.
Did it work? We'll never know. Grandpa seems very unhappy with the result, though.
Oh yeah, he's like
the look of disappointment on his face when the water starts pouring out.
Oh man. Okay, so you got trivia, right? You got trivia.
I got one piece of trivia, and this is copied verbatim from IMDb. So
yeah,
because it is so detailed, I couldn't condense it. Spot, the family's pet dragon, is compared in the newspaper to the size of the Loch Ness Monster. The scientific community regards Nessie, its affectionate name, as a phenomenon with biological basis, explaining sightings as hoaxes, wishful thinking, or misidentification of mundane objects. Alternatively, different sources claim Spot was recycled from the Tyrannosaurus model from 1 billion BC, the 1940 thing, or it was designed by Fred and Al Lewis, assembled by some builders, or a dinosaur model from the land unknown. So Spot's origin, unclear.
So he's like Frankenstein's monster of a dragon.
Well, I mean, the actual prop.
Yeah.
The origin of it unknown. It was either designed by Fred and Al. It could be a reused
nobody
prop.
Actually knows. Nobody knows.
Apparently not.
How does nobody know that? That's so weird. You think Al would have said something about it if they designed it before his passing.
Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah, it's just interesting that we don't have a concrete
explanation.
Yeah.
Where he derives from. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
I will say I'm really glad with the evolution of Spot from just the shadow in the first episode to the animatronic under the stairs breathing fire to the old black tail we used to see to what we have now.
Which that makes me wonder if it is an amalgamation of all those stories. Maybe they were just different pieces here and there every so often until we finally started using it more often.
Yeah, potentially.
So, because maybe, the shadow part could have been, Al Lewis and Fred just got together and made something out of cardboard to use for the shadow.
And puppets.
Yeah, something like that.
My hand doesn't work anymore, apparently. That's sad to learn.
And then the animatronic in the stairs where he blows the fire out. I mean, that could have been recycled pieces from another dragon or dinosaur or something like that in the past. So yeah, it's
potentially.
So I'm just going with it's an amalgamation of all those stories. It's every bit of that. How about that?
I mean, it very well could be.
Right.
We don't know.
If you guys do out there and do know, or know somebody that worked on the set in any fashion that might know, let us know.
Absolutely. I'm curious.
So yeah. Because I'd say we could ask, try and get into a conversation with Butch and ask, but I highly doubt he would know from.
Yeah, I don't know if he would
at the time.
Pat might.
No, because she came in after they've already introduced Spot.
Yeah, but she was there during the evolution of him.
True. Yeah.
Because she joined on episode 13.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. All right. So is that all you have for trivia, man?
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. So thoughts on this episode?
You go first.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was odd to have so many different endings for a sitcom show. But it was because I think the reason they did it was because they set up the voting fraud story at the very beginning. They set up Spot running away, and they set up this bad, horrible mayor. So as all three storylines connected into each other, they were still like three separate almost, where they needed to close them up. And I think that's what we got with, the bad mayor showing back up and trying to blow the Herman up. And then of course the what is it? Spot and Herman reconnecting and being back into the kitchen. There's your resolution of Spot running away. And then you had the Mayor Weinstein, whatever his name is, show back up and do his bit and actually realize, oh shit, everybody was right. These people are real and I'm scared. And then you had the closure of the fraud machine not working, so the Munsters are not committing a felony. So that's good. Hopefully it's not working anyways.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this one as well. Just the whole outrageous premise of the beginning to we used to have a dog that ran away a lot before she went to live with my grandpa, and had a lot more because we lived in a trailer at the time. And so she had a lot more room with my grandpa, nice backyard. She was with them for a long time before she ran away for a week and then just appeared on the porch one day. That was real weird. I don't know where the heck she went. We looked for her the entire time. But yeah, so I understand the whole, pet running away and having to go find them.
Yeah.
Aspects real well, really, really well. And just the whole mixture of the slight politics being included, the absurdities that they're poking fun at. It's just, it's a good one. This week we had two really fun episodes. And it's always weeks like this that I'm like, God, I'm so glad we're watching this damn show.
and I really liked we were able to look back and see what was going on in that time frame to understand more so where the story might have been coming from with the government crap that they were, dissing, which is nice. I do want to re-correct myself because I did say in the 90s this wasn't done as much on TV. It totally was. It was just different, I guess, to me as a child, because as a child I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on in the world. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff we overlook as kids and go back to and are like, wow, that takes on a whole new meaning.
I do want to just point that out, that yes, I was wrong with that there was a lot of stuff from the 90s, because when I go back and rewatch certain things and stuff like that, you see it now that you're an older, or more about things that were going on at that time frame and crap like that. So it always helps to know the time frames of the stuff that you're watching too, which is nice. So you can gauge where the writers were coming from a little bit better. So yeah.
All right.
Anyways.
So next week we are looking at, because I can actually give a little snippet of details for these, since I already have the info in front of me.
All right.
We have The Treasure of Mockingbird Heights, where we learn a little bit more about Munster Manor. And Herman's Peace Offensive, the only episode to be removed from Nick at Night's syndication in the 1990s.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, now I'm intrigued.
So
it's either going to be a really good episode or a really, really bad episode.
We hope you guys had fun with these, as much fun with these two as we did.
Yeah.
If you didn't, we'd love to hear why. If you did, we'd also love to hear why. Feel free, leave comments, email us at
TheMunsterCast@outlook.com.
And as always, we're eternally grateful that all of you are joining us on this ride. Like, this has been a blast.
Definitely. And then also, if you guys have not checked out the Munster LP that we dropped a couple weeks ago now on YouTube, definitely swing on over there. At Home with the Munsters, a night with is it the America's Unusual Family, or I forget what the actual full title was.
I forget it, but there's a lot of sound effects in that really jar. Like when they knock on the door, it's not the same door noise, and it bothers me.
Yeah. It's At Home with the Munsters, a night with TV's most unusual family. And again, that's on our YouTube channel, the MUNSTERCAST YouTube channel. You can check that out. There's a little short intro from me, but everything is broken down in the description for where you can click to get to things and stuff like that. So I don't think Herman comes in until minute 4 or something like that.
It's
to do a little intro song.
It was really, I listened to that on Friday when I was waiting to leave work, and it's good. It's so good.
My youngest likes to listen to it, so we listened to it actually the other day again for dinner. We just played it through the speaker, and we're eating dinner outside. So yeah.
Have you gotten them to try the show yet?
My oldest watched these 2 episodes actually with me, and then the other one, my youngest, he's watched several episodes too. So yeah. I usually end up watching it though at nighttime when everyone goes to bed. So
yeah, same.
It just depends what's going on.
By everyone, I mean my wife.
Yeah. So
I guess the cats are there, but they don't offer much.
Awesome, dude. All right. Any last words for the Munster Cast today, my man?
Oh, I'm having fun. I continually say it, but I'm genuinely having fun with this.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that said, guys, thank you very much. And we will catch you next time as we take another stroll down 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
The lesson I want you to learn is it doesn't matter what you look like. You can be tall or short, or fat or thin, or ugly, or handsome, like your father. Or you can be black or yellow or white. of your character.